We are here to talk about creating a hyper-productive operational rhythm with internal workflows. Our first question is, what is an operational rhythm? Because it's kind of like not really a very common term. So it's the things that you need to do consistently for your business to run. And there's a key difference of when you have a really strong operational rhythm is that you have a foundation of structure behind your business. So when you have that foundation of you kind of like know those moves, then when you want to improvise, it becomes a lot easier. But when you don't have that foundation of an operational rhythm, then you end up getting into this very, very chaotic mess, which is the reality for most people. And I love this quote of, you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the levels of your systems. Chaos and stress, it's kind of the reality of our worlds. We are not getting any less things to do. We're only getting more things to do as time goes on. And why you want the systems and structures within your business is because when that chaos, when you get those things that are coming up that kind of like throw you off a little bit, you fall to the level of your systems. And my fundamental goal with why I love operational rhythms so much is it allows you to do more with less. And today we are going to talk about how to scale without sacrificing your life, because as a business owner, I was like, surely there must be a way for me to enjoy this whole business process. Like, I want to be able to enjoy my life and my work. And so what are the fundamentals behind that? Because in our work with Business Tech Ninjas, we've seen some businesses that do this really well and some that do it not very well. And we want to break free of that firefighter mode. And that firefighter mode is really that constant fires coming in of like, this didn't work, that didn't work, this didn't work. And it's like you're just trying to survive on a consistent basis. And then we're going to do the 3 tools to create your very own operational rhythm. And the number 1 process that you need. But first, who am I? I am Melodie Moore. For over 10 years, we've been working with systems for scale. And the thing I want to emphasize here is there's a difference between putting a system in place and being like, cool, business owner, you go handle that, and we've given you your documentation and you make it work. What we do is we actually have to deal with the consequences of those decisions down the road. So we work with customers year over year. So it's like, how does this system this year then feed into how that plays out over time? Operations has kind of become a hot topic, or the Instagram ads are just really tailored to what I'm interested in right now. And the thing that kind of irks me a little bit with them is that a lot of the people that are out there, they're like, okay, operations. I'm like, okay, have you run a 7-figure business? Are you an entrepreneur? Like, have you done this before? And they're like, no, but I read all the books about it and it sounds great. And I was like, that's great, but being in the trenches and actually seeing how this works, because it's hard. And we all know that documentation and process is important, but actually making the time for it in your week and in your day, like that's a little bit more challenging. And so our clients are the ones that really drive me, because I love to see the impact on them. And that's really what it comes down to of why an operational rhythm is so important, is that it allows them to go on vacation for the first time, to go and do a launch and not hate their lives. And it's really that mission of like, businesses should be fun. Like, that's why we started it, because we were passionate about something, and then you wanted to make it bigger, but then it's all of the other stuff that you have to do that really weighs you down. And that stuff is your operational rhythm. So we want to go from an unstable, chaotic mess, otherwise known as an offbeat, uncoordinated, and exhausting dance, to a stable and scalable, adaptable business, otherwise known as a choreographed dance. I'm a big fan of communication, because I feel like a lot of things in life come down to communication and being on the same page. So we're going to get on the same page with what is the difference between a chaotic flow and an operational rhythm. First and foremost, fires. Chaos is fires. Most of us tolerate more fires than we probably care to admit. What do we want instead? We want proactive checks. So what is a proactive check? And this is why I love Keep, is because it gives me the flexibility to make sure the tools are doing the jobs that they're supposed to do. It's that trust but verify methodology. So we specialize in membership sites. Two of the most common drop-off points with membership sites is, password didn't go on the account. And Susie actually opted out of our emails 3 years ago and just bought a new program because she saw our Instagram ads. But because her emails opted out 3 years ago, she's not going to get her welcome email. But she paid you $37. And technically, if you didn't send her an email with access to that course, you haven't really delivered on that. So, one, we put a proactive check in place to say, hey, is there a password on that account? There's a backup for that in that case, and then it gets sent to a customer service person to then address it more deeply. And then two, if an email is not able to be delivered, that gets flagged up to a customer service person. And sometimes it's just someone spelled gmail.com instead of gmail.com. So easy fix. And it's just the most beautiful thing because the customer never knows anything different. And they're like, wow, like the level of care and service you take with your customers. And that feeling then does drive revenue for you as well. We want to stay away from low-value tasks. Low-value tasks are repetitive things like, the system always fails like this. Yes, just go here and do this thing. Those repetitive things that just keep failing over and over again are things that should actually be fixed in the root, not necessarily just to keep dealing with them over and over again. We want to focus on high-value tasks. These are value add that's connecting with your customers and saying, hey, how can we make this better? Trying everything. More is not better. We want to do less and obsess. The clients that I've seen be incredibly successful are the ones that focus in, and it's easier said than done, yes, but by focusing in on doing the right things, then it means that you're going to be more effective with your work. Again, it comes down to that do more with less. And we want to not do more, we want to make data-driven decisions. Because when you kind of get in that mindset of I just need to do more, you're just throwing spaghetti at the wall, but you want to look at your metrics and say, okay, hey, what are these levers that are actually going to change this? What's actually going to help my business? Again, fascinated by well-run businesses because I don't know if you've ever been to a restaurant, like a really nice high-end restaurant. I love just watching all of the pieces move. You've got busboys, you've got a waiter, then you've got a sommelier, and it's just like this beautiful dance. And I love thinking about this in terms of business because that can apply to your business too, but you need to have this operational rhythm. And what holds people back from being able to create this is not necessarily what you need to do, but how you're thinking about it and how you're approaching it. So there's some assumptions that I see that really throw people off. And my first one is there's a magical tool out there. There's a magical employee out there or a consultant, and they're going to come in and they're going to fix all of my problems. And this type of magical thinking is a way of removing ourselves away from the problem. But as entrepreneurs, that's kind of like the core of what you're good at, is actually solving problems. And what holds you back is you can't see the problem. So rather than focusing on that magical, like, oh, there's this great tool or this great thing that's going to solve everything, it's like, well, what specifically don't I like about this current tool? What specifically is that drop-off? And would it make more sense to switch out this tool? Or maybe I just need to learn how to use it better, potentially. Just do more things, all of the things. It's going to be repetitive. It's something that I feel like deserves repetition, something I have to remind myself of. Doing more is not going to serve you. Doing the right things will serve you. Chaos is just the way it is. That's just what business is. It's like, I don't think so, because I've seen that transformation. And you can do it once and never have to look at it ever again. The do it and it's done methodology. And what this essentially is I'm going to build out this opt-in campaign, and it's going to be the greatest opt-in campaign the world has ever seen, and I will never need to look at it ever again. And then I'm going to build another one, and then I'm going to build another one, and I'm going to build another one. Was that first one actually effective, is the question? Because it's like, why are you doing more opt-in campaigns if you don't know if that first opt-in campaign was effective? So what we want to do is continuous improvement. You're better off focusing on making one opt-in really, really strong than you are to have 5 or 6 different options. It's like, let's focus in on that. And if they don't want that PDF that is like, who's your core customer? And like, improve that, do less and obsess, and you'll get a better result. And you won't have to stress yourself out so much about it. You need to ask yourself some questions. 1, do you spend more time putting out fires than making things better in your business? And you want your like gut reaction on this, because you can probably justify why there's so many fires. It's like, oh, that's because of this tool and we can't do anything about it. But you want your gut reaction. And also ask that about your team too. Are they spending more time just putting out fires? And they will fall into this pattern more so than you will, because they don't care so much about the bottom line like you do. They're not the ones that have to make payroll. So it's like you want to be really cognizant of like how many fires are they putting out on a day-by-day basis, and how can you minimize that to make them more effective? Are you spending your time on high-value tasks or those operational things that should be more systematized at this point? Can you easily get the numbers that you need to make data-driven decisions? And there's an important caveat with this of you just start with some numbers. Revenue's a really good one, but you should have probably between 3 or 5 of them that you're looking at consistently within your business. And it's okay to get it wrong, because sometimes what we'll see is you will look at a number and then it's like, well, this number is really good, but it's not giving me the result that I want. And it's like, well, we probably need to look at a different number then. Do the systems and tech feel dependable? This dependability, this trust, like there's inherently sometimes a mistrust with your tech, and it's a really good litmus test to say, does your tech and systems feel dependable? And does your tech work for you and make your life easier? It's kind of like having an employee to some degree. It's like, is this improving your life, or is this taking away from your life? Now, I suggest you be brutal. And the reason why is because the degree in which your business can grow is directly proportional to the amount of truth you can accept without running away. And it works both within your business metrics, but also about you as a leader and feedback that you get. And it's a tough pill to swallow, because as the business leader, it does all fall on you, but that also gives you the power to create real change. And a good example that I have is oftentimes when we go into businesses, we talk about payment failures. And I'm like, so who handles that? I was like, oh, it's Jessica. I was like, well, how do you know Jessica's doing her job? She just does it, and I don't want to look at that, because if she's not doing it, I might have to deal with it, and I already have a lot on my plate. And it's like, well, if there's one thing you should probably be looking at, it's understanding, okay, hey, is this part of my business working in it? Really is I just don't want to look at it. So really putting your brave pants on and saying, okay, hey, what is actually working and not working within my business? Because that's how you create real change. We want to focus on facts over emotion. Your emotions go up, your intelligence goes down. So when something isn't working within your business, you will default to emotion, but having an operational rhythm and being numbers focused will allow you to fall down to your operational rhythm and just keep the ship going versus falling into your emotions. And then usually what ends up happening with that is people start just wanting to do more. And that only adds to the chaos and makes the problems worse. I've seen this develop over time where people just keep going. And I've seen companies go bankrupt from this as well too. We need to make better decisions for consistent results. And a lot of the way of how people would approach an operational rhythm or process is documentation. That's what you need to do. I know you're busy, but just take 3 hours or a whole day and document all of the things that you do in your business and pass that off to your new hire, and they're gonna do all of the things perfectly. And that's how you run a good operation. I'm like, really? Like, that's the solution here? I was like, but if I write that documentation today, it's gonna change tomorrow. Like, plugins keep released how many new updates this week? And it's like, it changes so rapidly. And when I started hiring team, I was like, I did not start this business to write documentation. Like, that is not my game plan. I was like, I want people who think through things. Like, I want them to make it so that they can think through those decisions. And so I was like, great, I'm just gonna find some really smart people. I'm gonna put them in place. This is gonna be amazing. What actually happened is they came very well-intentioned. And they're like, well, I did the best job here, but they don't have 10 years of experience like I do. How do I help them make better decisions? How do I guide them and then also hold them accountable to those decisions that they make? And what this came to was guiding principles. And these guiding principles allow me to have a conversation and hold them accountable to those decisions that they make, and for us to remain on the same page. Now, a really beautiful thing happens now is that sometimes I'm like, I don't understand, like, why is it done in this way? And they're like, well, because of this, this, and this. I'm like, oh, cool, yeah, that's great there. I love it. So, first guiding principle, cool. And I always struggle a little bit explaining this because it just seems so common sense. But in the technology world, I don't think that it is, in that it should do the job it's supposed to do. And it shouldn't break things in the future. And like just setting that bar of, okay, great, I know that you changed all these automations in this campaign, but that was not the whole goal. Like the goal was to create quality work. It should do the job it's supposed to do. And it also shouldn't break things in the future. So it holds a different standard. Whereas I just don't think in the technology world that people really get that. It's like, well, it's not my fault that, it broke all these other things. It's like, no, it is. It is your job. Like that's why I got you to go and update that campaign. So it gives you a method to communicate. I told you communication, I think, is so fundamental. But a lot of the time it's like, how do we create that common language so we can talk about things on the same level? The next one is dependability. Things, you should be able to trust the rhythm. So when I'm looking at a tool and it's like, okay, there's this plugin we use and it just fails consistently all the time. You email their support and they're like, oh, that's not us, that's that other tool. Oh, and then this team over here, we call support volleyball, says like, oh, no, that's not us, that's the other people. And it's like, this is not dependable. So either you guys need to help me find a solution here, or I need to switch out those tools. Those are our two options here. So it creates that decision-making process of like, do I want to use this tool or this tool? Which one's going to be more dependable for me? Adaptability. Your systems need to adapt to changing business requirements and opportunities. You also need to be able to go in and edit things yourself if you want to. Because if you get a brilliant idea at 3 a.m. and you want to launch it tomorrow morning, like, why shouldn't you be able to create a landing page and get that out there? And it allows you to be able to grow with more ease because you're able to action those ideas a lot quicker than you would otherwise. You want to do it quickly, especially with AI right now. It's like things are moving at such a rate. And if you have to email your CRM person or your web person to do any sort of change, it's going to slow you down and potentially one of your competitors is going to take over. Exceptional user experience. It should just make sense. It just seems so common sense, all of these things to me. If you follow me on Instagram, one of my favorite things to do is to go through checkout processes for Instagram ads, because I'm an Instagram ad person's dream, by the way. But I love going through the checkout processes because it's like, if you actually work through the user experience of it, it's like, I don't think anyone tested this. And it's like, it should make sense. Like, you shouldn't have to explain that. Confused customers do not buy. So it's like, take the time to really work your process versus just assume like, okay, hey, this is gonna work. It should work, it should make sense for your customers, but it should also make sense for your team as well. Because there's a cost for support of people emailing in and your team having to go and do like a whole bunch of extra tasks or extra steps. So it should make sense for them as well. Review. What an operational rhythm is, which is the day-to-day things that is what runs your business. Why you need an operational rhythm if you want to enjoy your business is because you can't go on vacation if there's constantly fires, or you can, but you don't know what kind of disaster you're going to walk back to. Assumptions and continuous improvement. If you take one thing away, it's a love for continuous improvement versus that one time. It's like, keep improving what you have. Do less and obsess. We got a sense of where you're currently at. I didn't make any of you talk about it too much, but we did get a general idea. And we talked about guiding principles. And the guiding principles are the only reason why I'm able to run an agency at the quality of level that we can, is because I can't train my team and give them a whole bunch of documentation. I need to train them how to think. So if you use those principles and make your decisions around those principles as well, you will create a much more solid system than you would otherwise. And what I've found to be effective when working through this operational rhythm is build it into what you're already doing. Whatever your operational rhythm is, there's things that you're doing consistently every day. And instead of doing it in one particular way, do it in a way that builds an operational rhythm instead. Because we want to make space. So the goal of this is not the illusion of progress of great, like thumbs up, you've got a whole list of things to do that you're probably never going to get to. It's we want to make space for you to get creative with your business and see where those opportunities lie for you to be able to grow your revenue. So where do you start? So first, just a general question of like take stock, write it down and ask yourself what is consuming the most amount of your time in your business? And then do a time audit. And a lot of the times when a time audit is recommended, what they'll say is they'll like write down all the things you do in your week. But we're not great at remembering those things or assuming those things. So a better option is have either a spreadsheet or a pad of paper or something, set a timer for every half an hour or hour, and record down the specific thing that you're doing. I'm sending out an email to Greg to go hang out in San Diego. And it's like, maybe I should hire an admin assistant to be able to take care of some of my logistics. So you can kind of see where your time is being spent on a much more granular level versus sinking into that magical thinking of I'm just going to find an admin assistant that's going to solve all my problems. But like your assistant's never going to be able to read your mind. So it's like if you get granular on what specific things you want them to do, like what's actually eating up your time right now, then you're going to have a much clearer path to success. Go through your process. End user testing. It's fabulous. It's not sexy, no, but go through your process and go through it as if you are one of your customers. Have somebody else that isn't so close to it go through it. So many times I go on websites and I fill out a form and I'm like, okay, I'll opt into your PDF. Thank you for contacting us, Melodie. Okay, cool. It's like, it's such an easy thing to fix, but people just don't take the time to really go through it. It's so much easier to have a big, long to-do list and feel stressed out and keep putting out fires. So what is consuming the most amount of your time, your mental energy, and causing your team the most amount of stress? And the reason why I mention this is because the stress that you and your team feels makes you less effective with your work. I say this to my own team and I say, okay, hey, if you're high on the stress level, go for a walk. Because if you try to send out an email when you're in a place of stress, it's going to take you 2 or 3 times as long, and you're probably going to make mistakes on it. So we want to limit down the amount of stress that we feel in the business, both for yourself and then also your team, so that you're more effective with your work and your team's more effective at the same time as well. We want to look for patterns. And a lot of the times when you're in this expansive mode where you've just been adding, usually the thought process is, no, there's no patterns in my business. Every single thing is completely unique. I'm like, okay, let's go through this. It's because you've expanded so much that there's so much noise that you can't see the patterns. So what we want to do is we want to contract down to get down to that core of your operational rhythm so that you can really hone that in. You want to start simple and add complexity. Generally, people will fall on one of 2 different realms. You've got the, I'm going to simplify, I don't get into the details. These are our drivers. These are the people that just get it done and just like blinders on type. And then we have our super complex people over here that are like, do we think about this nuance and that nuance and this nuance? And really you want to land somewhere in the middle, but you do want to understand like if you're in a stress mode where you're going to fall, because when people do fall into stress, they will default to one of those. And I am more on the complexity side. I love to add complexity, but I've seen how it isn't all that effective in the long term. So it's like, what tool or strategy can I use to be able to think about all those cool things that I can do, but also not necessarily do them right now? So first, we want to think about requirements. I like to take a big blank piece of paper, talk about requirements first, and then all the ways I can complicate it. So generally, how this works for me is I list out a lot of requirements. And then I go through and I read through each one of them and I ask myself, okay, Melodie, is this really a requirement, or is this just something you think is going to be really cool? And so I scratch it out and I put it on the ways to complicate, because what we want to do when we're building out an operational rhythm is to start simple and then complicate it. Why? Because We are terrible at assuming what people will do. And every time I get into this conversation with a client, and they're like, no, Melodie, I'm the exception here. I know my client. I know exactly what they're gonna do. I'm like, okay, cool. We're in this together. We'll go down this path. And then we do, and it's like, oh yeah, I guess we didn't really have to do that. Nobody took that 16th offer for how you can split your payment plan over the course of 16 different weeks and then you get a 1% charge. It gets wild, let me tell you. So you want to start simple and then make it complex based on what the actual requirements are. Again, focus on your numbers because numbers makes it fun. It becomes a game at that point in time. So there's some fundamental workflows that when I'm going into a business, I'm like, okay, hey, do you have this kind of rhythm going on in your business? First one, which is the number one, is going to be payments collection. And I'm going to give an example today, which is on membership sites, because that's my jam. But it does fall, like, you really want to start there because money is the lifeblood of your business. And if you do not have a good handle on how that money is coming in, then you're putting yourself at risk. The number one thing I see is, how many different ways do people pay you? 6. How do you reconcile that? Oh, Jessica handles that. And it's like, you just know there's drop off with that. There's just no way that there isn't. Because she's fantastic, but she's got an uphill battle. So it's like, how can we simplify this? Contact us inquiries, which I know it seems basic, but it's gonna be cool. It's coming. Booking a call, new leads, and then new customers. So these are kind of some of the common flows that you're going to be thinking about with your operational rhythms. So 1, payment collections. First thing, if it's a subscription, tell them that they owe money. It behooves me of how many systems I go into, and it's like, I don't think anybody told them that they were owing money in this. And then it's like 6 months down the road, it's like, you ain't collecting those monthly dues at this point. And if you try to, you're gonna look like a not great human, let's just put it that way. Send emails, maybe text, and that comes from that level of just looking at how you can improve it over time, of maybe add some text messages depending on your rates of being able to recover. Please let them update their credit cards online and never ask for a credit card through email, PCI compliance. I only say this because we've gotten several clients that are asking for credit cards over email. I'm like, no, that's a terrible life choice. Have someone manually take action if they don't take the action that you want. So versus someone manually going through everything, you want to get them to do that high value task of connecting with them. So this is a little bit of the campaign. Our campaigns I try to make them as simple and clean as possible and as easy to follow as possible as well. So we structured out with our proactive checks in there as well to make sure, okay, hey, is this doing the thing it's supposed to do? Contact us inquiries. Ask them to choose an option so you can direct them and potentially give them what they want right away. I'm interested in sales. Cool. Here's a link to book a sales call. Like, why make them wait? Why have somebody go and look at that contact us form and then direct it to the right person? It's just like, why do we have to have so many steps in this? Make it conditional, maybe directly on the form or potentially after with a decision diamond. Offer up the most common answers right on the form or in the email. A little bit of a little jam on like what it looks like within Keep. And then booking a call. I love call booking links. If I never again get asked, when are you available? I'm available on Tuesday. It would be a happy, happy day for me. But a lot of businesses just will not adopt this because it's a fear of change. And yeah, it is change, but it's a very worthwhile change. You can collect information about the call. So when you show up on that call, rather than spending the first 15 minutes gathering the information you need about them, you already come prepared. You can already look at their website. It's just proactive, and it shows that you care about your business and you care about their time as well. Send them join links automatically. And then potentially automate the follow-up after the call. On this, so I have a task in here, but one of the cool things that you can do is you throw an internal form in there instead, because those are all pre-done emails. But if you have an internal form where they can put some specific information about that call, then your salesperson can put that in there, and then it automatically feeds into the email. So it's an automated email, which kind of has those standard things, but a couple things that are specific to them, and they really start to question, like, is this an automated system? I don't know. So that's where you get that really beautiful hybrid. Recap. Scale without sacrificing your life. It doesn't have to be so hard. I think sometimes we just accept that tools just don't do their jobs and like this is just the way it is. But if you really put the time into continuous improvement, stop getting on that more train. We don't need more things to do. I don't need more content. I need more effectiveness. I need things to get done. How to break that firefighting mode, step back from it and kind of look what specifically is breaking and looking at and prioritizing that out based on what's causing you the most amount of pain now. Do that first. 3 tools to create your own operational rhythm, which is my question, the time audit, and then again, going through your processes. The number 1 process you need, look at your payments process, please. It is the lifeblood of your business. What's next? Do a time audit. 1, what's eating up your time? 2, choose one flow. 3, make it better.